And that's why when they try to play mind games with you now, it's almost laughable. You see the setup before they finish the sentence. You feel the hook before they cast the line. You recognize the pattern because you've seen it 1,000 times in 1,000 different faces. They think they're being clever, you're just bored. Because once you've been through the real battles, the petty skirmishes don't even register. Once you've survived people who actually knew how to destroy you, these amateurs with their borrowed tactics are just background noise. They'll never understand how you do it, how you can sit in a room full of people and know exactly who's lying, who's performing, who's hiding something, who's about to betray who. You don't even have to try. It's like breathing now. And when they ask, how did you know? You can't even explain it because it's not a logical process. It's intuitive. It's felt. It's the accumulation of 10,000 micro-observations your subconscious makes that your conscious mind only catches up to later. You've become a walking lie detector and clearly was too high. The price of trusting the wrong person was too steep, so your system adapted. Your perception sharpened, your instincts became ruthless. And now you can't turn it off even if you wanted to. You see everything, feel everything, know everything, and it's exhausting. But it's also your greatest asset, because in a world full of pretenders, you're the one person who can't be fooled. They say knowledge is power. But awareness, real awareness, the kind that reads energy and intention and unspoken truths, that's a different level entirely. That's the power that makes people uncomfortable. Because you don't need them to confess. You already know. You don't need them to explain. You already felt it. You don't need proof. Your body gave you all the evidence you needed the moment they walked in the room. And when you act on that knowing, when you distance yourself or cut ties or refuse to engage, they call you cold. They call you judgmental. They call you paranoid. But you're none of those things. You're just finally trusting what you've always known. Here's what they'll never tell you in those psychology classes. The most powerful form of psychological warfare isn't aggression. It's absence. It's the ability to remove yourself so completely that your absence becomes louder than any words you could have said. And you've mastered this without even realizing it. When you go silent, people panic. When you step back, they spiral. When you stop engaging, they lose their minds trying to figure out what they did wrong. Because your presence was the validation they didn't know they needed, and your absence is the void they can't fill. You don't fight anymore, you don't argue, you don't defend, you just disappear. And that disappearance, that hits harder than any confrontation ever could, because it's final. It's inarguable. It's you saying without words that they're not worth your energy anymore. And for people who are used to getting reactions, they'd rather you yell. They'd rather you cry. They'd rather you care, but you don't. And that indifference, that's the ultimate power move, because it proves they never mattered as much as they thought they did. They studied books. You studied survival. They learned theories. You lived experiments. They memorized terms. You embodied the experience. And now, here you are, walking through life with a level of psychological sophistication that took them years of schooling to barely comprehend. You don't need a degree to validate what you know. You don't need credentials to prove your expertise. Your life is the credential. Your survival is the degree. Your awareness is the mastery. And anyone who's ever tried to outsmart you found out very quickly that you're not someone who can be played. You're not cruel. You're not cold. You're not heartless. You're just done pretending you don't see what you see. Done acting like manipulation is normal. Done tolerating people who only show up when they need something. You've drawn boundaries that most people don't have the spine to draw. You've walked away from situations that most people would have stayed in out of fear or obligation or hope. You've chosen yourself over and over again, and every time you did, you got stronger, clearer, more certain, until you became this: untouchable, unbreakable, unmoved by the games that used to devastate you. So when they say you've changed, they're right. You have. You've evolved past the version of yourself that gave people the benefit of the doubt, past the version that stayed when you should have left, past the version that explained yourself to people who were never going to understand. You've shed every layer of softness that the world tried to use against you. You've devolved every layer of softness that the world tried to use against you. And what's left is pure. It's sharp. It's unapologetic. It's you in your most refined form. And if that intimidates people, good. It should. Because you're not here to be comfortable. You're here to be real. They'll try to guilt you. They'll say you're too guarded, too suspicious, too hard to get close to. Let them, because the people who are meant to be in your life won't find you difficult. They'll find you refreshing. They'll appreciate the fact that you don't play games, that you say what you mean, that you show up as exactly who you are, without apology or performance. The right people don't need you to be softer, they need you to be real, and you've been real this entire time. Made you the villain in someone else's story. You never learned psychological warfare. Your DNA wrote the manual the day you were born into a world that needed you to be less. Your cells encoded defense mechanisms before your mind could name them. Your intuition sharpened itself on every betrayal, every lie, every person who underestimated you. You are the culmination of survival instinct, brutal awareness, and unshakable truth. They went to school for this. You woke up like this. And now you're unstoppable. Not because you fight, but because you've become someone who doesn't need to. Your existence alone is the warfare. Your clarity is the weapon. Your peace is the victory. And they'll spend the rest of their lives trying to figure out how you did it. Spoiler alert, they never will. Let me tell you what happens next. Because this is the part they don't talk about in those seminars and workshops. This is the part that doesn't make it into the self-help books or the motivational speeches. When you reach this level of awareness, when you become this calibrated to truth, something shifts in the universe around you. You stop attracting the same people. You stop ending up in the same situation. It's like your energy developed an immune system that automatically rejects anything that isn't aligned. You don't even have to think about it anymore. Your body does the work before your mind catches up. Someone walks in the room, something feels off. You know. Someone offers you an opportunity that sounds perfect on paper, but something whispers no, you know. And you've learned, finally learned, to listen to that knowing without needing evidence, without needing proof, without needing anyone else to validate what you feel. They'll call it trust issues. They'll say you're jaded, They'll diagnose you with attachment problems or commitment fears or whatever label makes them feel better about the fact that you won't let them close enough to hurt you. But here's what they're really saying. You've become unmanageable. You can't be love-bombed into ignoring red flags. You can't be guilt-tripped into staying where you're not valued. You can't be sweet-talked into forgetting what you saw. You've built a fortress around your peace, and the only people allowed in are the ones who prove through consistent action over time that they belong there. Everyone else gets a smile, a polite distance, and absolutely zero access to your inner world. That's not dysfunction, that's mastery. That's what happens when someone learns the hard way that not everyone deserves a seat at your table. And here's where it gets beautiful. Once you performing for an audience that was never going to applaud anyway, you become free and you sleep deeper. You waste less time on conversations that don't matter and people who don't care. Your energy isn't scattered across toward the things and people that actually deserve it. Now, you're just you, fully, unapologetically, and the right people feel that from across the room. The manipulation tactics that used to work on you don't land anymore. The guilt trips bounce off. The gaslighting gets shut down mid-sentence. The love bombing gets met with suspicion instead of gratitude. You've seen every play in the playbook. You've survived every strategy they teach in those dark psychology courses. Not because you studied them, because they were used on you, by parents, by partners, by friends, by strangers who saw something in you they wanted to dim.